Welcome to this second webinar of the day. I hope you enjoy this knowledge sharing with us. I'm Fabrice, I'm in charge of the Centreon user community, and this webinar will be presented by Simon Baum, Product Content and Alliances Manager at Centreon, and our special guest, Luca Deri, founder of Ntopng. As a reminder, you can leave your questions in the chat. They will be answered at the end of the presentation. Let's go, Simon. It's your turn.
Yes, thank you, Fabrice. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're connecting from. So, as Fabrice said, I'm Simon Baum, Product Content and Analytics Manager at Centreon. Today, I will present you a few new features we've added with the 2204. I will share my screen. Okay, so I assume everybody can see my screen now, and let's start sharing some slide. So the idea of this webinar is to give you an idea to how you could keep an eye on your network performance without leaving the Centreon UI. Actually, with 2204, what we really wanted to do was reinforcing our connectivity strategy. So most of you, I assume, are very familiar with our plugins and monitoring packs library. And we really wanted to bring new capabilities to go beyond the data we can scrape with Centreon plugins, and also go beyond some limitation we had with our backend today. So in this connectivity strategy, it also means that we want our users and clients be empowered and give them the possibility to display third-party data directly in a Centreon dashboard. The third point is we would really love to make Centreon a tool where teams, where different teams, different people from different teams can connect and work together. And of course, at the heart of our connectivity strategy, it's still getting the data from well-known actors, best-of-breed actors, and today we will talk about Ntopng. So let's take a look and give you my point of view about why Ntopng is a match. First, mostly because of some limitation we have with our backend. I said that previously. We don't plan, at least in a very near future, to embed a network performance monitoring feature directly with Centreon and ship it as a complete and 100% Centreon product. So we have to find actors, famous actors, and Ntopng is one of them. The second point is that architectures and concepts are similar. You know, we have our central server or central brain with its pollers collecting the data, processing it, and sending it back to the central. It's pretty the same for Ntopng, and I'm sure Luca will probably talk about it better than me. The third point is open source. Indeed, we share that same open source philosophy, meaning that you can easily evaluate our product suites. You can get those for free if you want to get your hand dirty, and of course there's a bunch of commercial offer and support offer on top of it if you want to get help from and vendor support on top of it. And why Ntopng? The last point is that it will allow to give information about what's happening between and around hosts. In other words, you know that Centreon is running probes from its porters, and we are gathering data on the host itself and a lot of health and performances things. But we are not very comfortable with observing the network and gathering a lot of traces like nflow or netflow or eastflow. So it's very a plus, I guess, for you to be able to scrape this information and display it directly within Centreon to add some context to network performance or activity context to your monitoring. So now let's see what's out with 2204. You will get a brand new monitoring pack. Actually, it was out maybe a month ago. This monitoring pack allow you to run queries and requests against the Ntopng API. As of today, in this first version, we have 4 different kind of services: alerts to get the list of alerts open at Ntopng level, host flows to take a closer look to all the flows and traffic related to a specific host. The netflow else, so more oriented on netflow, and the probe else, which is a little bit closer to what we used to do. And this last service will allow you to check how your Ntop probe is running and what resources, system and hardware resources it consumes. So amongst these 4 services, we have 3 services that will be deployed automatically when you will apply the templates. Those services are alerts, netflow else, and probe else. And we will see during the demo that the host flows services will have to be added manually to allow to specify some macro value and filter on specific host. The second new thing relates to Centreon dashboard, and it's a new widget. We called it Ntopng. Behind the scene, it works probably the same than the plugin because it directly reaches the Ntopng API to fetch data from it and display it within Centreon. So how do we connect? So I spoiled a little about this, but on this drawing you can see that yes, architectures between Ntopng and Centreon are pretty similar. We have agents collecting metrics and sending it back to this central brain. What you should probably, what you may want to remember is that Polar and the widget, the little W on the right, will directly talk with the Ntopng API to scrape the data. Of course, the content of the monitoring pack is available for you to go deeper in the details in our documentation. So you will have 1 host templates and 4 service templates corresponding to the 4 services I previously described. And if you want to have a very precise view of what metrics and statuses we are collecting, you can also go to the documentation and navigate through the different tabs to discover it. The widgets, so there's only one widget where you will be able to, of course, configure all the information related to your Ntopng probe, so the login, the protocol he's listing over, the port and the ID of the interface. And you will have several modes. So, for example, there is a top and local address. You have the same for remotes, and also something more related to the application who actually consumes bandwidth on your network. So, of course, I will show you this through the demo. So, first, let me connect to my Centreon and to my Ntopng lab. Okay, so we are connected on both tools. So like any other plugin pack, you can install this new monitoring pack from your favorite plugin packs manager, and looking for Ntopng. And of course, I already installed it, but you would be able to use a plus sign to install this plugin pack. So once it's down, you will have a bunch of command of objects, host templates, service templates deployed. And you're good to go. For the widget, it's the same thing, the same like any other widget. You go to administration panel, extension menu, and the manager. And within this manager, you will see the Ntopng. I have a lot, so let's use the research. Okay, I have some live impediment here. Okay, so you can look for Ntopng here and add the widget from there. Let's take a look to my host. As you can see, I have a core router I'm monitoring. Let's say I want to get data from Ntop about this very specific host. I will add a new host. I will create, for example, rcore Ntopng. Here for the IP, you have to set the address of your Ntopng probe actually, because we are gathering the data from it. You specify, of course, from where you are monitoring this object. You can select the host template you just installed, we just installed, and you automatically get the macro required to connect to Ntopng. So the lab I'm using, he's listening over HTTPS port and behind a remote reverse proxy, but never mind. By default, I think that Ntopng listens over HTTP and 3000 port. You can also set here required credentials to connect to your Ntopng API. So here, I really want to monitor something related to the RT core Ntopng. I will not deploy automatically the services because I want to create a host flow Ntopng traffic. I want to deploy this kind of service which rely on the specific template which is not automatically deployed. So I'm adding a host again. Should rather add a service indeed. So I link it to the host I just created. Ntopng host flow. Always use dash custom. So here you have a bunch of parameters you can pass to your CLI execution. One thing is the interface. So within Ntopng you have an interface concept here, and you have to specify the ID here. And one thing to add, which is mandatory, and that's why this specific check is not automatically deployed with when you set the template at the host level. It's that you have to set this IP. So let's say the IP of my core router is this one, and let's set a threshold, and I'm pretty sure it will trigger an alarm. Because I hope this core router receives more than one packet. Okay, so you just have to save and export your configuration, and you're okay with this. So I wanted to show this part because I think this is something very interesting and requires a little bit more manual work that just adding the Ntopng host template to a host and automatically create services linked to create the services linked to the template. So let's take a look. Okay, I have the pending state. Let's try to force check that. To refresh state, okay. Ntopng. Okay, so I can see that actually I obviously get a critical with because my core router is receiving about 4 and something packets per second. So indeed, so here also in resource status here you can see all the other checks available. So I told you about the alerts, so you will be able to see how many alerts do you have, their severity level, and a kind of alert. For example, here you can see that I have some trouble with the NTP server I'm talking to. You also have for indeed the date, specific date where the event happened. The probe health is all about the health of your Ntop probe. So, for example, I know that at this moment my Ntopng is consuming about 8% CPU. The load is very low, so I don't need to upgrade my server VM or whatever, and the memory is about 20%. One very interesting thing, it's indeed if you start to have a very overloaded server, you may see this very important metrics rising, which means that Ntopng just ignores the alert because it cannot handle it. And the net flow health here, it's to see on your network from the Ntopng point of view how many flows you are going through and how many of these flows are generating alerts within Ntopng. So of course you have performance data for all this check, and you will be able to do a deep dive or on the metrics and on their value if you want to. So yes, we saw the events stream part within resource status, and now what I can show you is how to mix all of it in a Centreon dashboard. So you could imagine building such a dashboard with a network core view where you use all the Centreon widget capabilities to get metrics and display metrics. So you can use the I will not say legacy, but the usual widget graph to see your metric. I don't know why it doesn't display this one at this moment. You can use the very new also single metric widget to specifically target a metric and display it within your dashboard. And at the very bottom of this dashboard, you have, for example, this brand new Centreon widget, Ntopng widget. So, for example, here you have the top 5 of talkers source, so I can see who are generating the more traffic on upload, the top 10 flow and the kind of each flow with a very detailed view of who is the client, who is the server, the bandwidth it consumes, the packets per second, and like for the top 5 talker, the top 5 destination host on my networks are talking to. Now let's see how you can configure this widget, because there was a little bit of it in the slides, but let's do it live. And it will give me the possibility to show you the application requests, the application data we can get from Ntop. So I choose the Ntopng widget here. So my dashboard will look a little bit ugly after that, but let's put it here. So I have to configure, of course, the credential to reach Ntopng and authentify against it. The fully qualified domain name of my probe, the protocol and the port to use. Once again, the interface ID, as you can see, it's pretty similar to what you've configured at the plugin level. And here, really, you will choose the mod. And here, what I wanted to show you is an application. Let's say I want to know what are the 5 applications who are consuming the more bandwidth on my networks. And let's say I apply. So at that moment, I can have a clear view of which protocol application is consuming the more bandwidth of my network, the bandwidth used, and a percentage ratio of all the bandwidths going through my Ntopng probe. I think that's pretty all for the demo part. Fabrice, I don't know if we now have Luca with us.
Yes, Luca is with us. Luca,
hello,
are you
Luca.
ready?
Hi. Sorry,
Yes.
guys, took a long time.
It's your turn. Let's go.
No problem.
Okay, so let's now talk about Ntopng. Can you see my screen? The slides?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I want to give you a short introduction to what Ntopng can do. It is not a very deep presentation because we have very little time, but I'm ready to answer your questions. First of all, let's talk about me. So let's see. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Oh, I don't want to move today. Okay. I'm the founder of this company of Ntopng, and we develop mostly software for network traffic monitoring and cybersecurity. So as you have shown in your network presentation, we don't only represent what is happening, we also represent, if there is something wrong with the traffic and try to interpret the traffic. I'm a lecturer at the University of Pisa, and our software, as I said, is open source, on top of which we have some premium versions of software. We started many years ago, about 25 almost years ago, and we are based in Italy, but we have a small office in Switzerland. And the root of our software is open source. This means that our software has been integrated, like Centreon is an example, in many products. As you can see here, we have some hardware products that include our software, and we also have our software, a portion of our software included in various tools such as Wireshark or a popular ADS named Suricata. Now let's talk about Ntopng. As you have shown in your presentation, Ntopng is in essence a web-based traffic monitoring tool. It allows you to understand what is happening on your network by capturing packets or collecting flows, IPFix, NetFlow, or SFlow flows. The web interface allows you to navigate through the data. At the top part of the web interface, you see there are some small buttons that allow you to jump immediately to the relevant information. For instance, we use the color to identify issues. So you can see that in your presentation, you have shown, for instance, some alerts. And these alerts are as such because we have identified one issue with the traffic. So we have an understanding of the traffic at flow level, so an individual communication between two hosts, at host or network level, autonomous system, and then at interface level. This means that we allow you to understand not only if there is a problem, but where the problem is located. Everything looks like a website. So in essence, we have a web engine that allows to be queried, for instance, through the REST API by Centreon, or you can go to the web interface and click on the host and jump to the information. Basically, an idea of the performance is that a single NetFlow probe will be able to collect about 100,000 flows per second, and those flows are converted and sent to Ntopng. Or Ntopng can collect the traffic in about 1 to 2 gigabit per network interface. Of course, you can have on modern machines a feature called RSS that allows you to split the traffic and have the traffic balanced across multiple virtual interfaces. So this means that you can scale up to 10 gigabit. If you need to scale about at 40 or 100 gigabit, you need to use our Mprobe processor that I'm going to show you in a second. So we have the ability of receiving data, so this, in the format of flows, and exporting data. So we can export data to a database or to Elasticsearch, InfluxDB, or Grafana, that is a popular tool for creating web interfaces. And we also have the ability of integrating our tools with a CM and IDS application. This means that we can import data and export data to those applications. Mprobe is a companion tool for Ntopng. In case you want to collect flows, and Ntopng is unable to understand the flow format. So Mprobe is a way to receive flows, so that is called collection in the NetFlow IPFix word, and then convert them in a format that is meaningful for Ntopng. In particular, this tool, it is able to also understand the various dialects between network operators and network manufacturers, so that we can also collect flows from hundreds of different probes and then massage them in a way so that Ntopng can understand them. There are various scenarios. The first and simple scenario is the following. Suppose that you have a multiple source of data, for instance, a Macrotic, a Cisco router, or Juniper, for instance, or VMware, so a virtual switch that is implemented in software. In this case, this traffic is in clear text, okay? So everybody can see that. So this means that we can deploy Nprobe next to or as close as possible to the source of information. Nprobe can collect this data, augment the flows with some sort of DPI information, even though DPI work at best with packets, but at least we can identify some risks on the flows and send them in an encrypted format to Ntopng, so that if you have a geographical network, so a geographically distributed network, you can put the probe, around your network and send to Ntopng flows in a secure way. Another option is to instead use Nprobe to collect packets, okay, from a network interface to generate flows that are sent to Ntopng. This is a typical way of scaling up because, as I said, Nprobe can act as a preprocessor to Ntopng. So we have a few products in our family. So there is Nprobe and Nprobe Cento that is able to scale up to 100 gigabit. So even if you have a very fast network, this is the way to scale up and promote scalability. Now, let's talk a little bit about the alerts. So all our tools are based on the packet inspection. As I said, we have developed various tools over the years, and one of the most important one for us is called NDPI. That is an open source toolkit that we have developed in order to understand the application protocol, so not just the TCP port 80, but to see if this is really HTTP and to extract the meaningful metadata. This is the original idea of NDPI, but over the years to NDPI, we have added various other features. So for instance, we have the ability of understanding if there are some threats in the traffic or find the common issues, for instance, a certificate, the last certificate that is expired or a misconfiguration. NDPI, it is able to mark this traffic according to a severity and to a score. A score is a numerical ID that gives you an idea of how severe is this problem. So with the flow, we have the score. The score is propagated to the various components. So this is how Ntopng it is able to understand where is a problem. And in addition to the flow information, we also have something called behavioral checks, because Ntopng is behavioral based, it's not signature based. So it means that Ntopng observes the traffic and from the traffic tries to understand if there is a problem. So there are simple checks such as somebody sending a clear text credentials, so somebody is connected with insecure data, that this is a problem that should be fixed, to something more elaborated, such as, for instance, a network is still working well, but the type of traffic is very different from what it used to be. So this is called a behavioral check. And those checks are used to contribute to the generation of the score value according to this type of checks. And once we have identified a problem, Ntopng it is able to report this in a picture, so that allows you, for instance, based on the score, to see who are the victims and who are the attackers in your network. This simply because in Ntopng the score it is used as a value, as metric for understanding this type of issues. And of course, based on that, we can trigger an alert. That is what you have seen in the previous demo. With the alerts, not only we represent the problem, but we tell you why the problem has happened or has been triggered. For instance, there are clear text credentials for a certain users, or for instance, a certain certificate has expired, and we report the contextual information that allows you to identify the problem and hopefully to solve the problem. This is basically the idea. It is 20 plus years that we are developing this. It's a solid software, and we are glad that Centreon is using it in your tools. Thank you very much for the presentation. I don't know if you have some questions you want me to answer.
Yes, I think we have one question for you. Do you have URL level information on HTTP?
Yes, of course. For HTTP, we have a URL, the MIME type and various other things. And in addition to that, as I said, we do some checks, okay? So for instance, we check the user agent, if there is something strange in the user agent, or we check if there's a cross-site scripting attack or a potential SQL injection or RC injection. Yes, so we have all this information exported and this type of information.
Thank you, Luca. James, I hope this responds to your questions. Apart from that, we have two questions for Simon. I don't know if you there, Simon.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, and I just realized that I didn't switch on my webcam. First, thank you, Luca, for your presentation. It was very interesting, and sorry for the trouble you run in connecting to our webinar. Yes, for the first question about how to deal with is it possible to use a token instead of username password to connect to Ntopng. I assume Ntopng supports it, and I'm pretty sure it's already in our roadmap. Just Luca, can you confirm that we can use a token instead of username password to connect?
Yes, you can create a user token, and Ntopng is multi-user, so you can define the type of visibility and the type of permissions you can give to a user and use the token for that. Exactly.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Luca, and Stefan. Yes, yeah, if it's a prerequisite for you to use token and not storing any username or password, of course we will add it in the near future. I don't think it's a big deal. Yes.
have
Also, I will maybe just show the configuration of the widget for talkers or flow as someone in the crowd asked for it. Let me quickly share my screen.
let's go.
So as you probably understood, thanks to Luca's presentation, you can go much deeper by going directly through the Ntopng interface. The idea is to give you a subset of the information within Centreon and allow you to quickly. I didn't show that also, but you can click here and directly reach a very detailed page on Ntopng to troubleshoot further about a specific host that would appear in your dashboards. So about the configuration, it's pretty the same. At least the form, it's exactly the same. You will just have to pick the local address or remote address, the mod you would like to use with the widget. And here you have the filtering capabilities, but it's only working with flows. So let's go to the flows. And for example, I can pick an IP address. I don't know it by heart, but for example, but I have already set my core router IP address, which is this one. So you can filter on a specific IP address on a specific core. So the configuration is pretty basic and exactly the same, whatever the widget mod you're using, except the fact that with the top end flows, you have this additional capability to filter on IP address and ports. Okay, so that was all I wanted to show. I can go through the question if you want.
Yes.
Because I have the chat just in front of me.
Thank you.
So can the embedded NetFlow data be used within BAM and MBI? Indeed, basic checks like NetFlow Health, Probe Health, and all these 4 services and templates coming with the Ntopng monitoring pack are just like any other services. So if you want to make them part of a bigger modelization or service level modelization thanks to BAM, or generate some reporting on top of it thanks to Centreon MBI, of course you can do it. The last question I have is about the availability of this feature, and yes, as we introduced the dark mode with 2204, it was easier and more straightforward to only release the widget for 2204. So, but regarding the plugin packs and monitoring checks, you have access to this pack whatever your version, whatever the version you're using. So yes, Arthur, for the widget, it's only 2204.
Any other questions? You have a question also.
Stefan is asking his question again, but I don't think he heard the answer. But yes, Luca confirms that Ntopng supports token authentication, and I can guarantee that we will have this capability in the near future in both plugins and widget.
We have 3 minutes. If you have any other questions, you can ask.
Something I can add, and I discovered myself by going through the Ntopng documentation, is also that the nprobe agent Ntop is providing can also give you very interesting insights about the traffic used by your containers and pods when these containers are orchestrated through Kubernetes, for example. And this is something we don't scrape when you are discovering your Kubernetes resources with Centreon. We are talking directly to your Kubernetes master node and getting all the information about pod health and containers. But we don't have that much information about the traffic. We are not capable of measuring the entry time of communication from a container to another node in the network. And I strongly recommend you to take a look to Ntopng capability on this, because it really completes what we are doing with Kubernetes monitoring.
Good. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Luca, for your time. There is still one last webinar to be held at 5 p.m. CEST or 11 a.m. EDT. It depends, depending where you are. I hope you will be there too. We are at the end of this second webinar. See you exactly in 15 minutes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you, Luca.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.